Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everybody is doing well. So, the plan for tonight, just let's get stuck into it. I think we've got quite a bit to do tonight. Hello, Kim. Good to see you again. The plan for tonight is Pascal has published a beta version of Cake.Issues.Reporting.Generic. And that includes the work that myself, Pascal, Kim, and Martin all worked on to get this add-in using a new Razor templating engine known as Gazorator. And it should now be ready to run under .NET Core. So the fundamental premise of using this what previously was that it was constrained to run on full fat framework. So now, in theory, it should run under .NET Core. Now, I haven't tested this yet, so this is going to be a surprise to me if it works. A nice surprise. This is going to be a surprise to me as well if it works. But essentially, what I want to be able to do is, so this is me in the Cake.Recipe repository on my file system. If I run build just now, the bootstrapper that we have is running full fat .NET framework. Hello Maurice, how are you doing today? So we know that this works, right? So if we run the build, the build.ps1, it invokes the Cake.exe. Cake.exe uses full .NET framework. It has access to run all of the add-ins that Cake.Recipe wants, right? Now, if I change to not use the build.ps1 file that is in this repository and instead attempt to run under the global .NET, .NET global tool that is .NET Cake, then we'll have an issue, right? Have I moved to Hawaii? Oh, is it hot? It's not. I wouldn't call it hot over here. It's been a bit funny actually. But if so having run build.ps1, if I come over here and I run .NET, so I've got the .NET global tool for Cake installed. If I run .NET Cake, it will error because by default it's looking for a build.cake. So if I change this to be recipe.cake, which is what we have, then it will attempt to do something, and then that something will break because it's not been able to install the Cake.Issues.Reporting.Generic add-in, because in its current version it doesn't run on anything other than full fat .NET framework. Kim saying it's quite hot with them as well. Oh, I hope it's not stuck. Pascal's saying the stream is stuck for him. Anybody else seeing issues? I'm not seeing any errors in OBS. So yeah, I think it's just you, Pascal. Sorry. So what I want to do is I want to test changing to be the latest pre-release of the Cake.Issues.Reporting.Generic. So I have to remember where that is. So Cake.Issues.Reporting. I can't type today. Generic. Oh no, hold on. Oh, I can't do this yet. Oh no, hold on. Oh, am I getting ahead of myself? Have we got a beta release of Cake.Issues.Recipe that uses the reporting generic add-in? Oh, we do. Sorry. Right. I'm confusing myself. I'm back on the same page now. So I need to update to this one. So everything I said before was true. Pascal's done all that work, but he's also updated the Cake.Issues.Recipe add-in to make use of the Cake.Issues.Reporting.Generic add-in, and that's the one that we need to use in Cake.Recipe. Right. So back over here, and if I search for recipe, then we find it here. So what we want to use instead is that one, and I can never remember if I need to include it, but I'm going to put pre-release on here as well. Okay, So let's test some things out. So the first test is that it still runs under full flat .NET framework and we haven't broken anything. Now we might have broken something because Cake.Issues.Reporting.Generic has updated its requirement to run with a higher version of Cake, I believe. So we may see a warning here. But if it's just a warning, we can get past it, or we can bump the expected version of Cake. So what we're seeing here: could not load add-ins beta net standard 2. Well, that doesn't look good. So what do we have to change here? Interesting. Okay. So we will have to bump the version of Cake. So these errors here with regards to Azure Pipeline. So my suspicion is that something in the latest version of Cake.Issues has changed to use the newer things that are in Cake. So we will have to bump Cake here as well. So currently, the runtime loader is not blocking. We'll come back to that. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for this. Currently attempting to build your project using will result in errors. What's that? Currently, Cake.Recipe itself is built using, so we'll have to update that. So it's 32.1. I thought it was 33. Oh, we changed that to be. No, what's the thing I'm looking for? What's the wording? There is. So I'm basically going to bump everything to use a newer version of Cake. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put that into here as a minimum. So let's just go to this one. And there is some wording within Cake.Recipe itself to say what version that it's built with. So I think it's in the build.cake file. Supported, that's what it is. So is supported Cake version is what I want to search for. So it's here. So it's a Cake version. And why have you stopped scrolling on me? That's a bit strange. Build metadata Cake version. Yeah. But there's no harm in running with 38.4, right? Okay, let's keep it all the same. So let's keep that. And the part that I want to check is build version, Cake version, build version. Metadata is what's generated. Yes, okay, fine. So I think what I'm looking for in here is this, but I think this will change when I run the build again. So now that I've bumped it, so let's see this change. I think this should change to 38.0 because it's a generated file. He says. Running the build script. 33. That's better. It's better. I'm still expecting that to bump though. Broken something. Progress is being made though, although I would like to see this complete before we try and get the .NET global tool running. So that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Using local provider, unable to find Git. Why is it unable to find Git? That's a little bit strange. But we got all the way here, and then it said YAM source files, one or more errors occurred. So what's it doing with YAM source files? Why did that break? Because of that. So YAM source files, when it is being written out, is generating input string was not of the correct format. What have I done there? That's maybe a good idea. Verbosity equals diagnostic. Oh, that's running. Let me just see what we actually set this to. So if we don't specify it, it's going to be equal to source directory path dot full path and then bin obj test.cs. Don't see any reason why that. Although that's a globbing pattern, did the globbing patterns change between 0.33 and 0.38? Blah, blah, blah. Input string was not in the correct format. Logging aliases information. Oh, look at this. That was added. That was added in the most recent version of Cake. So I wonder what's causing that. Oh, I think I know what's causing that. Well, I don't, but I do. These brackets in here are gonna cause that problems. YAM source files is, what is that? Oh, it's because we're writing it out now. How do we, so the problem here is that, so Patrick is indeed to blame, yes, I think. So the issue here is that we are trying to set the value of that variable to a globbing pattern. That globbing pattern happens to have curly brackets in it, and then that, and as a result, when we write out the value of that variable, it doesn't work because of the new ANSI console appender, or ANSI console renderer, or whatever, because it thinks it's a format string. So if we were to go to where that error was occurring, which is here, and for the sake of just now, let's remove that. Let's see if that works. And that's awkward. If that is the issue. But we'll come back to it. So this runtime loader, sorry, Pascal, are you saying that that's we can ignore that? Or it's something that we need to fix? Okay, so we've got past that one. And we're initializing Cake.Issues.Recipe with the beta version. So far, so good. I saw another obsolete there about the usage of... if I knew what the problem was, I might try Pascal. But what I'm getting at is, you're saying that's a known issue, is what I'm getting at. Is it linked somewhere or a GitHub issue? So that builds. So now in our version.cake, I think we should now have 38 in there. We do, good. Okay, so that's good. So now let's try running with .NET Cake and recipe.cake and see what happens. So this is now running under .NET Core context. So I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so you have no idea what the issue is, but it's a known issue. Okay, fine, good. So we're on the same page. Let's see what happens here under .NET Core. Waits with bated breath. Get the same obsoletes, that's fine. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? It's initializing Cake.Issues.Recipe. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, okay. So this is far from a definitive proof, but we have just run Cake.Recipe using, now let's be clear, we're using so there's 3 different entry points for Cake.Recipe. One is running a .NET Framework build, one is running a .NET Core build, and one is running a NuGet packaging build. So all that we've run here is a NuGet packaging build. However, it has loaded in all of the add-ins that are referenced, and where that was causing an error before, it's now working. So it's run a small component of Cake.Recipe, but it has run it under the context of .NET Global 2. So I think that's good. So the next step would be to commit this change and try running a bigger build with Cake.Recipe using this version. So let's maybe go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say, we're going to bump that. Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. We bumped that. Now this is a bug. I should write some notes here. To do. Speak to Patrick about why this is causing an error with latest Cake release. This is something to do with the new ANSI console renderer. Okay, we'll leave that note there as we'll come back and fix that later. So let's go ahead and do this. And I don't know, I guess we have got an open issue for this sort of stuff. So let's see if we can find it. Cake-Contrib, Cake.Recipe. Let's see if we've got an issue associated with this. And if so, we will tag this commit against it. Just looking in the 2.0 milestone. No, there's not. So let's. Well, no, I'll tell you what. We'll do it against. I thought we did. Oh, it's maybe. I maybe don't. I'm trying to remember if there was a specific issue about running on .NET Core. I know there was for the tools. What's this? This one open? Target cake.tool. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think we'll just move this one. I'm going to put this one onto this one. So this is going to be 152. So we're going to do gh-152 update to latest Cake.Issues.Recipe. This should allow execution of Cake.Recipe using Cake.net global tool. Okay, so let's do this. And I've just done that directly into the develop branch because that's the way I roll today. Git push origin. Updating my customer shouldn't seem to work locally, but failure when loading. What did you run it against? What were you running the new version against, Kim? My plan was to switch over to GitReleaseManager and use that as a test bed. So cd into C, GitHub, organizations, Git tools, Git release manager, fake news, Git fetch upstream. Let's make sure we've got the latest downloaded. Git rebase upstream develop, Git push origin. Haven't run it on any repo yet. Oh, I see. Okay, it's just in your custom implementation. That's fine. So let's do this, and then over here on. Let's maybe just open it up on this screen so that I can show what we're seeing. We go to ci.appbear.com. Oh, there's a failed build. Oh, we failed the build. That's not good. I just got an email notification saying that the build failed. Let's have a look. Let's see. Come on up there. Cake.Issues.Recipe. Yeah, Cake.Recipe, sorry. Same issue as I'm seeing at the same place as well. But that I changed that, didn't I? I changed. There was an error when I did it, but I figured it would have gone through. Did it take the change? Ignore the failing app ver. Okay, ignore builds. It did bump it. So now, come on now. Which build? Like, I take that to heart. Take it to heart. What funny things are you talking? I saw that there was an issue with it not finding the markdown lint executable. I did wonder if you needed to do an update session environment as part of the build to make it find it, but that was a. Why is it still got? Yeah, why did it not restore my cache? That should have busted that cache, right? That's quite strange. Let me test something. Let me test a hypothesis. Let me see if I have access to what I need in here. We do, and then builds, cancel, build jobs, no, environments, this one, and let's see if we can do this one. Let's see if we can send that. It did. Let's rebuild this commit. So all I've done there in the background is I have manually purged the appver cache for this project in the hope that it then forces the restoring of the right cake version. What did I say? It just sounded like, why did it not restore? Oh, really? I'm all fuzzy as well. Why am I fuzzy? It's done it again. That should have purged that cache. I'll come back to your links in a second, Pascal. I just want to get this. I just want to get this building. But why is it also not purging the cache on appver anyway? The build.ps1 file itself should. Did I change the wrong one? No, there is only one packages.cake file. What have I done? That should. Oh. Kim. We made a change to the bootstrapper so that it bootstraps differently. Have we inadvertently no longer doing the MD5 check on the, because that should be part of the bootstrapper. This one here, MD5 hash file. Missing. Hold on. Yeah, that's never going to work, is it? Because it's always going to assume. But yeah, that's not going to help it, is it? So, where did it go? Alright, let's close it. So let's go in here. And while we're here, let's make this tools. And this is going to be tools packages dot config. Build tools packages config. Build fix cache entry in YAML file. Yes. And must be in single quotes. Oh, really? When, like this? Fix format. You said single quotes. Or do you mean the whole line? Before, let me just look it up to make sure. As in, okay, let's go with that. What? Bizarre. Fix formatting, yes. Okay, thank you for that. Let's give it a try. Git push upstream, that's the wrong one. Git push upstream. I'm curious as to why my Postman request didn't purge the cache as well though. Git push origin. Let's test this out again. So sorry, Pascal, you were saying. This is what Chocolatey should do. Line 24. Markdown, lint, CLI packages, installation complete. Roaming. This is what sometimes does. Oh, I see, okay. This is what sometimes does. Choco install. But here's one of this, maybe it's caused by build image. Okay, lots of stuff talking. So I've got no good explanation as to why you're seeing differences in how. Is it the same version of Node and NPM on both builds? Could it be an issue there? Because all that package is doing is shelling out to NPM, isn't it? Okay, so that succeeded. So we're back to there. So I said lots of things there. I don't remember what yes is you're referring to. As in, it's the same version of Node and NPM on both builds? Is the answer yes? I just need to retry it. See, that's not a good situation to be in. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you off the top of my head. Not without digging into it some more. There was a comment there from Kim as well, though. I would also recommend having content add-ins cake and content tools.cake as cache dependencies as well, since they're dog fooding the current recipe. Okay, I'm okay with that. So that would be Cake.Recipe dot content add-ins dot cake and Cake.Recipe content tools.cake. Maybe something like that. Maurice is asking, has anybody seen or know of a project that runs Pester as part of their GitHub Actions workflow? Not off the top of my head. No. Recipe content. Got those right. Recipe content add-ins.cake and recipe content tools.cake. Okay, so let's add that in then as another. Add additional files to purge cache. These are required since Cake.Recipe is dog fooding itself as part of the build. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Beautiful. Okay, let's do that. Sure. And git push upstream. And git push origin. So if we go back to our CI builds, so if this one works, I want to take the generated package and I want to test it on GitReleaseManager to see if it builds there. And if it does, I don't know where we're going next. I know that Kim's got a PR in the Cake.Recipe that we need to take a look at. And there was something else I wanted to do tonight that I thought was important. But off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. Oh, well, we should fix all of the obsoletes that we've now introduced by bumping to 0.38.0. We should do that. So let's get this one, and then if we look at GitReleaseManager here, then in its recipe.cake file, it's already using the pre-release version at version 3.19. So we'll need to get the new version, which is 3.3.8 as per the log there. So let's change that to be 3.3.8. In order for that to work, we're going to need to bump this in here to be 38. So let's give this one a try. Let's clear the screen. Okay. That is confusing because it's two right on top of each other. So if we run this build, is it going to work? So it should still work here, and then we should be able to test it under .NET Cake as well. So let's do that. That's the one that we know about. Interesting that the other warning that used to be there is no longer there. There used to be a warning about Bouncy Castle not working properly or not being able to be loaded. but now that warning has been replaced with another warning. Love it. Okay. Dun, dun. So those obsoletes we know about, that's fine. There's also some to-do comments that Kim left in the code base, where because we weren't using a latest version of Cake, we didn't have access to some aliases. So we should go back and fix those too, because we'll now have access to those because we bumped the base version of Cake. So that's good. Let's see what happens. Has anybody got any news in the chat room that they wanted to share with the team? We're waiting for a build, so now's a great time to ask any questions or let us know anything that you've been working on, maybe. Oh, those are just warnings. Okay, that's fine. Those look like style cop warnings. While I'm... So Pascal, I noticed that you'd done a PR into Cake.Issues.Recipe to include support for Dupe Finder. Is that coming? Is there going to be another beta that includes that? Because if there is, we'll need to include the setting of that file path to the generated file in Cake.Recipe. No, not in this beta. No, I understand that. But is there going to be another one? I.e., is there going to be like a beta 2? I saw the PR build failed, but maybe it's related to the issues that you're having with Markdown lint. There probably will be a few. Happy to test them out here. Happy to test them out. I'm going to take a screenshot of this, what I've got on my screen here, while that build's running. Oh, that's not necessarily what I wanted to show all over the place. Let's take that off of there. Apologies about that. I'm going to make this. Copy. In the Slack. And general. Wasn't quite that bad. I was taking a screenshot of the build. Oh, maybe I'll just show it. Sorry. I was taking a screenshot of the build so I can send this to Patrick and ask him why that's causing an issue. But no, you're right. I definitely shouldn't break my streak that I've got going on. General. I'm going to paste this in here and I'm going to say Patrick. Any ideas why writing this line out via information would take into 38.0 works fine in 0.33.0. I suspect an issue with the ANSI console. See who comes back with that. There are still things missing across all add-ins. file linking support will come in a future beta. I'm curious to try that one out. Yep, I'm very curious to try that. Take that for a spin. Another failed build. Not related to what we're doing just now, though. That's not what I was hinting towards, Maurice. No, because I haven't checked it out myself yet, so that wasn't what I was hinting at. Oh, what's that? Oh, it was Maurice that broke the build over there, was it? Shocking. It is not possible to find any compatible framework version for Netcore app version was not found. The following frameworks were found. 220. Why is that suddenly causing an issue? That's interesting. And Pascal saying, and Yannick has also implemented improved message for Cake.Issues.Finder, which makes use of new. I saw that there was a PR associated with that as well. I didn't check it out, but I saw notifications flying through. So that in the message there will also be links to the different fragments. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Runs fine. Why? What am I missing in my local environment now? Or what have I broken? Test host process. What's it trying to do? Source. Was that why I couldn't find it? Because it was 2.2. So hold on, bring it up. That's the integration tests. Found it. Is there a couple? Netcore app 2.2. So then in lies the question, what should it target? We're currently targeting 2.0, 2.2, 2.2, 2.1. No, nothing like a bit of consistency. So the question then becomes that we should be on everything should be 2.1 for consistency, or does that make sense? I don't like how they're all different. That's the. And what I have on my machine is 2.1. should maybe target 2.1. 2.1 is still supported by Microsoft, but 2.2 is end of life. Oh god, I love that. So let's do this then. And let's do this. Let's do this. And let's do that. So .NET Core App 2. Okay, so we've got them all. Only one password is tested, not the latest. So let's do file, save all. Let's run this build again. I want to see a successful build before I switch to the .NET Global tool. Would also like to have the possibility to dynamically load add-ins in Cake.Issue.Recipe, which Kim started in this version, even though it's no longer required for .NET Core support. See, is that something that I know you're saying add it into Cake.Issues.Recipe, but is that not something that goes into Cake itself rather than in the recipe? Feel free to test. Okay, you guys are talking about the core team packages repo now. Why does this keep going funny? I'm going to say my camera is indeed drunk. I think that's the only explanation. Because I want to. I'm being told off in the Cake Slack team for running 38.0. From 0.33.0. It fails with error when trying to write out on 0.38. So the advice just now, well, no, though the build currently is using 38.0, not 38.4. He is, or Matthias and Patrick are suggesting that we attempt to bump to 38.4 and put the commented line back in and see if that fixes it. Because seemingly Matthias made some changes around formatting issues with the ANSI console. So you're saying that there were issues with the tokenization. So I'll give it a try. I will give it a try. Thanks. So the suggestion is to not run the build with 38.0, but to run 38.4. Did he wipe his camera too often? Well, I don't think I did. We'll try it. Well, we can try that just now, actually, while we're waiting for that build to finish. So if we go back over to Cake.Recipe and we look in here for our commented outline and we take this out and we put that in and we go here and we say 38.4. Then we'll go over here and we'll run the build. See if that breaks. And if it does, then the recommendation is to run Cake.Recipe with at least 38.4. See if this works. That looks like it's getting further, so that's good. So thank you for that, Kim. That's now running all the tests on my machine. And they're also now consistent, which is probably better. Creating NuGet packages, creating chocolatey packages, run .NET Core Pack. Oops. Yes, the Git hooks. Well, no, actually, I don't have the Git hooks on this machine, but it would then cause an issue when I go back to the Mac and try and run it over there. Let's see if... Oh, it worked, look. Did it get it as well? Is it written out? It has. Okay, so 0.384 works. So 0.38.4 works. Thanks for that. So we'll put that in. Poor Mick Gary. Running to all the builds. So we're doing .NET Cake here. Recipe.cake. Let's see if this runs. Okay, so that worked. So over here we can say build. Switching to running with 0.38.4. There was a tokenization issue in another 0.38.x release. Bumping to 38.4. Addresses the issue. Let's do this. All paths are ignored. Why is it telling me that? Because it's not. I wonder if it's the... I wonder whether the Git extension in VS Code doesn't like the fact that in here there is... Where is it? In here there is cake. Oh. That's not what I'm looking for, it's tool, sorry. No. Packages.config. Where's the... I'm expecting to see an entry in here which says exclude everything in tools, but then don't exclude the packages.config file, which I thought was what was coming up, why that error was coming up. But I don't seem to have that entry. So that file is being excluded, but because it's already in, it goes in and the changes are detected. That's bizarre though. I don't understand why I don't have those in. But that's a job for a different day as well. So that build's still running. So we can put this up. Git push upstream. And then I'll look up here. And then git push origin. This VM is really not liking me trying to do multiple things at once, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So the error that you saw, Kim, when you switched to made the same changes on your custom Cake.Recipe, was that running on AppVeyor or was that running locally? Because so far, running GitReleaseManager with the latest version of Cake.Recipe using the Cake.NET Global tool, fingers crossed, seems to be running. I think you mentioned it was AppVeyor, but I need to dig through the chat to see it. But if this works, I'm tempted to push it and see what happens. Let's wait for this to finish out. Looks promising so far. So like I say, if I get this to work locally, I'll push it up to AppVeyor, have the build run there, and then I'll switch back to, oh, it did work, look. I'll switch back to trying to get rid of some of those obsolete messages. So let's see what we're doing here. Well, let's bump to the same version here. Let's make this 38.4. The tests was to make those consistent, and let's bump that. So let's do 2 commits here. Let's do a build commit. Build make target works. Consistent. Do that. Commit that. And we'll do another one that is build use latest version of Cake.Recipe. This brings in support for running using .NET Global tool, but requires running with 0.38.4 as a minimum. Let's do that. Yes. And if that works, git push upstream. And push origin. Let's switch over to AppBear for this one. So that's under a different org, which I can't see. It's there. GitReleaseManager. Okay, so over in Cake.Recipe, let's have a little look and let's search for to do. Because here, this can be switched to is running on GitHub Actions once we support at least 0.36. So this was a comment that Kim left in the code base. So let's fix this. So let's make this build system.is running on GitHub Actions. Let's read what this is saying. This was if it's that or it's that. Okay, so let's use just this then. That's that one. And this one, change direct environment grabbing to use the GitHub Actions provider when Cake.Recipe starts using 36.0 or higher. So rather than using this, let's check out the documentation for the GitHub Actions provider. GitHub Actions provider. It has information about, I'm going to guess it's in here. And here. Okay. Pull request runner. So what information are we looking for? And then it becomes a question of which one is too bad the built-in cake support only checks one of them. Oh, so should I change that to still include the second check? Or is that won't work. Edit, undo, edit, undo. Okay. Edit, redo, edit, redo. Do you know off the top of your head what these relate to in the provider, or I can go and dig it up. Let's have a look. I see. GitHub.com, cake build cake. And then in here, if we search for this, GitHub ref is part of the ref of the GitHub Actions workflow. Ref of the GitHub Actions workflow info. So that's part of workflow, and workflow has ref, which is this one. What's the chances of it having that? So it didn't. Okay, so if we go back, start at the beginning. That was an example there. Is that close? There we go. Let's grab this. Then I think we should be able to do that, he says. Let's come back and have a think about it. Duplicate that. Go and have a look in here. Actor. Okay, that looks promising. So build system, we'll need to pass in the context though, because that won't work directly. So this will need to be context dot I think we'll put this in as well. Okay, so that's the ref, base ref. base ref is part of just base ref, or part of workflow info as well. So let's grab this, put this in here as base ref. So far so good. GitHub ref, we've had that one already, so that would be this one here. Gets the name of the person or app that initiated the workflow. Actor, yes. Which one did I just have in my clipboard? So that's the ref, so that's this one. And then, okay, so where do we get to? Let's have a look at, that build. I've been reliably informed that build succeeded. That's good. Okay, progress. GitHub repository. Let's see where this lives. Under repository. As part of the workflow. Beautiful. Okay, so let's grab this again. Copy, paste, and what did I just say? I said repository. Okay. GitHub head ref. I'm seeing a pattern, but oh, it's just head ref. Look, okay. That was close. Copy. Head ref. Run number. Run number. Copy. Run number. That didn't work. Run number. Did I get them all? Did I? Did I? What were we changing there? Let's have a look in this one. We were replacing the uses of environment variable. Okay, so far so good. And then our to do here, we can remove this. Okay, next to do. That's not related to this. Use parameter for Cake-Contrib feed. That's something else. Need to add open cover here. Something else. And then, oh, that's much further down the line. So back to here. Let's run a build, having made those changes. Do you happen to remember, Kim? No, you won't. Let's go and find it. Because this will be related to an existing ticket, adding in the support for, well, we'll fix that as well. So let's find the GitHub Actions issue. Create provider, so it is 531. So let's -531. Let's put that in there for later. What did I break? Build system. Oh, that's obsolete. No. Build system. Oh, I made a mistake, didn't I? I did. Build system aliases. Build system is a method. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fine. Here. Build system. Build system. Build system. Build system. Build system. Build system. Do a bit down to line 60. Let's see. Cannot implicitly convert int to string on line 73. So number is a string, run number must be a integer. Okay then. I think I can fix that. Let's see. Here we go. So I don't know if you heard my question earlier, Kim, if you're still around. You said you were seeing an error with your custom Cake.Recipe when you were running a build somewhere. Was that a local build or was that on GitHub Actions? Was it running under a different operating system? If you could let me know, that would be good. Update usage for new Cake version. We are now using the latest version of Cake, so we can switch to the built-in support for GitHub Actions rather than re-implementing. So let's add these, commit that. Interesting. And that's for your custom Cake.Recipe itself, or using your custom Cake.Recipe on another project. So let's close this one out, close this one out, close this one out. Okay, so if we go back over here and look at these. So it's usage of TF build. Custom recipe itself, which runs using Cake.NET Core. Did you send me a link and I just missed it, or? I don't see. No. Okay. Oh, you did. Okay, sorry. Have a look. Let's bring it up. Dun, dun, dun. 16. Cake.NET Cake could not load file or assembly system.text.encoding.web. The system cannot find the file specified. And that is when doing. Interesting. And does your custom Cake.Recipe do anything extra with the Cake.Issues? Or the Cake.Issues recipe, are you adding any additional files, playing with the binary logger, anything clever that we're not doing in Cake.Recipe? So it's using this, and it is using beta 1. Building version. Okay, interesting. And I'm going to assume that over here, let's have a look. Sanity check. Are you setting the base image somewhere? I'm not setting it either. Interesting. Okay, so it's not that. I don't know. That's a Pascal question. I'm going to go back to thinking about this. Let's have a look at the... Bring this over here as well. Keep pushing the wrong button. That in. That's a git ignore file, that's fine. Switch to that and that. This is in build.cake. Files to copy. Files. That's just making that better. No files. I'll find in every directory. Okay. That was that one. Okay. Bootstrapper. Oh, that wasn't a complete deletion. That was making things much shorter. Fine. And then invoking the recipe.cake. Adding the .NET Core CLI. Changing that. Yeah, there's not a lot of change, is there? Huh. Yeah, but sorry, but by virtue of doing that, you're making it shorter because it doesn't have a bunch of stuff in it that it otherwise would have needed. Okay. Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. Sorry. Right. Going back to what I'm trying to achieve. So where I'm at, 34 minutes. Right. Build provider.cake, line 66. Build provider.cake, line 66. Return new build provider with build system.tf build, and it's telling me that I should use build system Azure pipelines instead. Azure pipelines. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of hoping that Pascal's going to come back and say, well, you need to do this. But I'm not sure if he's still around. I still see him as being in the chat. He's maybe off trying to figure out your problem. Fix that one. Azure pipelines.cake is this one. Line 26. This one. So line 26 is saying TF build repository branch is obsolete. Use TF build repository source branch name instead. Source branch name. Fine. That's line 26. Line 11. Source branch name. Branch here. Source branch name. And then, okay. Run. See what this does. If we get down to one warning, it's going to be like, oh, it's so close. Can it convert from the Azure pipeline provider to the ITF? So I've broken that. So that's on line 66. This thing here. Oh, that's going to be in. Oh yeah, I know. Shouldn't those be changed to? We might get there. I think where we're getting to just now is that this is no longer there. I want this to be this. So I think by virtue of making this change, it's gonna break everything. So let's just call this Azure Pipelines. So yeah, I think by virtue of making this change, it's going to break a bunch of stuff. So let's just do it, shall we? Copy, paste. Let's just go all in here. Here. Okay. Here. Copy, paste, and then back up here. So this is likely going to break a bunch of stuff, but let's start at the beginning. One, 2, 3, 4. That one. Okay. See how badly that broke. Straight in. Oh. I wasn't necessarily expecting that to have a like for like. Huh. Wasn't necessarily expecting that to work. Let's have another look in here. TF build. There's no more mention of TF build. Okay. Okay. Is that the only? Is that that's the suggested change that you're? That's the change that you were suggesting, right? And then the build provider is already using, is running on there. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to make this a build commit because it was a fix obsolete warnings. I didn't think it works easily either. This is where a full set of integration tests for Cake.Recipe would be really good. I really like some of the work that Pascal's been doing with the Cake.Issues.Recipe for exercising on Ubuntu, on Mac, on Windows. He's doing it all in the Azure pipelines at the minute, but I kind of want to do something similar across each of the build providers that we support. So at the minute we support, what do we support, or what support's a strong word. We suggest that you can run it on Azure Pipelines, TeamCity, AppVeyor, Travis, and GitHub Actions. It would be good to kind of have an integration test for each of those. I know you've kind of spoken around doing some of this, Kim, but it would be great to have it at some point. Usage of TF build has been removed in, or usage of TF build will be removed in Cake 1.0.0. So let's fix the obsolete warnings. Fix the obsolete warnings that we are seeing. Go gadget. So do that one more time just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. So then, like as I was saying, if the only warning that we've got now is this one, then we're so very close. So very, very close. So the bouncy castle warning that we did have has now been replaced by this one at the minute. So we've removed one warning and we have replaced it with another one. So let's push this up and get push origin. I do have some integration tests that run on AppVeyor and Travis CI, but those need to be triggered manually. Been looking to and from them several times, not sure how to automate them without causing builds to take. You see, that's the problem. I mean, maybe even if we could do it as a scheduled build, maybe. So if there has been a commit, maybe run it once a night or something. If there's been a change, something along those lines. But I don't know. I don't know what the best answer is. And like I say, it would be good to bring those into the main repository so we can see how that's done, what triggering, what is being built, and etc. So I don't think we need that for 2.0, but it would be good to have longer term, because we're getting very close to having a 2.0 release, I think. What's actually still, we added another couple of things onto the milestone, but we are getting very close, I think. 9 open issues. one of which I can close if I merge your PR. So if we do this, let's have a look. Okay, I did have a quick look at your PR. Git checkout feature, this one, git rebase on develop, git push dash. I'm just going to force push onto your branch, by the way, Kim. Sorry. With the latest changes, because there was something in your PR that I was going to ask you about, which was, on the whole, I thought it looked fine, but I did have a question over. Sorry, too late. I had a question over documentation. So you have explicitly put in this, and I was wondering why. Because it's already done. It was too late. It's done. It's pushed. That could be why, because it was already done in the other. Because we're moving away. We're moving away from the need for that. So I kind of want to do it like that. And I want to do it like this. Unless you've got any reason not to, I would like it to be consistent, and it should be consistent if they're using the latest bootstrapper. Because on the pre-release one, which is this one, on the pre-release docs, there should also be the argument. So in here, we're doing create pre-release, yes, and then we're going to do dash dash create pre-release, yes. Because other than that, I was happy with it. Let me have another quick check. Or in fact, let's do this. Let's put those changes up as well. 957 GH 597. Let's do it as that. Docs. Minor changes to docs as discussed on stream. Yes. One. Where are we? Git push iron worm. And let's back over here. I think I've just opened that again in another tab, but that's okay. Has argument create pre-release, and not in a mean way, not meaning to be anyway. So if the build parameters is tagged, if the build is tagged or it has the argument create pre-release, we use the milestone. Otherwise, we use the version. So all right, create pre-release, yes. Or we're using the version, yes. Okay. We've made some slight changes to the docs, but otherwise, I think in general, this made me think about whether that should be on by default. That made me wonder about that. Because now is the time to do a breaking change. Oh. Oh, is there? If there's not, we should create one. Version. I'm not seeing one actually. No, I'm not seeing one. I'm going to add one. Should get run Git version should be true by default. Again, let's just do this so that let's pull it over here. You guys can hopefully, folks can hopefully see this. Oh, come on. Once upon a time, Git version wouldn't work at all on anything other than Windows. Those days are long gone, and we should enable Git version by default. Could have been. Breaking change. Let's put this into this. I think now's the time to do it. So I've just added that issue. But yeah, we should also update docs where this parameter is mentioned as well. There we go. That parameter may perhaps be renamed as well. As in it, because it's not just Git version anymore. Yeah, I had the same thought. Should assert semantic version? I don't know. But yeah, no, you're right, because it doesn't need to be Git version anymore. That's a new issue then. Let's bring this back over. Parameter should run Git version should be renamed. Calculate version. There was a change in Cake.Recipe to allow overriding the usage of Git version to calculate repository version number. As a result, the should parameter isn't really true anymore. This should perhaps be renamed to should calculate version. I like it. I'm going to say that this is also a breaking change, and I'm going to say that now's the time to do it. Submit new issue. Okay, so those are both in. We've updated that to be -- targets. With that, you updated this to say stable release, which is fine. Has that mentioned there. You switched to GitHub token, which is good. -- release notes. Okay, so all of that looks good to me. Review changes, looks good to me. Submit review. I'm going to say we can merge that. Even though I'm saying thank you in person, I'm going to put this in here with a comment. And then the linked issue was assigned, it's closed, all good. Okay, cool. While I think about it, Kim, there was something I was going to ask you. Gist.github.com. Let's have a new gist on the go here. Things to do when updating to Cake.Recipe 2.0.0. File name to-do.md. This is a list of things that should be checked when adding Cake.Recipe 2.0.0 to a project. For example, cake add-in in the Cake-Contrib organization. So as an example, project is using an embedded icon. Project is using a deterministic build. There was at least so what I was hoping to get from the folks on the chat room was a list that we can go tick 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 when we are adding, or when I'm adding, when we're adding, when we are updating a project to use Cake.Recipe. These are the things that we're checking for. The above would enable deterministic. Enable coverlet. I thought it was enable deterministic build, or have you created another one? The above would enable deterministic build and coverlet coverage reports. Yeah, I think I'm not sure it's called that, but I think I know the one you're talking about. But okay. I mean, if you can get away from using a custom Cake.Recipe, I'd be more than happy, because then that's you fully back into the fold, and you haven't got cool stuff that we don't. So I'd be, if we can get to that point, I'd be very happy to have you back and using it like that. Okay, enable deterministic builds and alias. Okay, cool. But there's at least, so I'm gonna create this, and if we can keep this up to date with if you ever think of anything that needs to be added into this list, can I ask that you add it here? Now, one thing I did wonder about was I noticed in some of your projects, Kim, that you are using a Git submodule for pulling in the Cake-Contrib icon. Now, at least in the two projects where I've enabled an embedded icon, I've just added it directly into the project rather than using a Git submodule. Rename all calls. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Rename AppBear default target from AppBear to CI. So what I was going to say was, does it make sense to have a task in Cake.Recipe that allows the fetching of the icon from a URL and putting it into the file system, rather than hard coding it into there, i.e. what I've been doing, and rather than having to use a Git submodule, which is what you're doing? What do you think? Does it make sense to download the icon when you're not on when you're running in a CI system? What are your thoughts? Because it's not something that's going to change very often. And the task could be smart enough to know that if the file already exists, don't bother going off to try and download it again. Well, yes. So the caveat being that if it didn't already exist, yes. So I think I prefer, I don't know, because I just don't like the, I know it's not a lot of overhead, I just don't like the overhead of having a Git submodule. But I also don't want to have to put the file into 200 repositories only to have it change at some point because, I don't know, we change it somehow. So I had a thought to download it when you're running on a CI system and prior to running essentially NuGet pack. Just something to think about. So a couple of things there. One is if you think of any other things that you've had to do as you've been adding Cake.Recipe 2.0 or then vNext into a project, if we can capture them all here, and have a think about the icon as well. I'm not sure I've got much else to say, to be honest. I'm like I say, I just don't like. I don't necessarily like the overhead of having a Git submodule and having to initialize the submodule and fetch it as part of the CI build or as my local build. And I just kind of, and I don't like the duplication of the icon across 200 odd projects, but I still want to have the ability to update it if we do change it. So that the benefit of the Git submodule is that that allows for that, but that does mean you need to update the reference so that it pulls in the new version, or you just kind of flush the cache and it's already there. So I see benefit in downloading it. The only caveat being that you kind of have to flush the cache, or flush whatever mechanism is keeping it around on the CI system, assuming it's on AppVeyor. It just feels a little bit of a cleaner approach rather than using a Git submodule, if I'm honest. Plus, I inherently don't trust Git submodules because, well, old battle scars. Or just don't cache it. Yes, that means we're downloading it lots of times. But I mean, there's no harm in that. I mean, it's on GitHub CDN, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I've just got old battle scars, and I continue to have scars from using Git submodules in certain places. I think I just prefer not to have it. So I'm going to think about it some more. But that's kind of where I stand on it. That's true. I mean, it is tiny. Yeah. I mean, it's not trivial, but it's small in relation to other things. Let's put it that way. So I think I got done most things I wanted to do tonight. So we have, aside from Kim's custom Cake.Recipe having a build issue, we have pulled in the latest Cake.Issues.Recipe. We have built that with both full-fat.NET Framework and on the .NET Global tool, and the build for Cake.Recipe itself works. We've pulled that into another project that's running full .NET Core build within Cake.Recipe, namely GitReleaseManager, and it's building there, so that's good. The only thing we haven't tested is it running with .NET Core on other operating systems. Now, I'll be kind of testing that on my own machine. I'll be testing that on my Mac. In fact, while I'm talking, I might just go ahead and run that over here. I'll cd into that repository and kick off a build over here. So if we do GitHub organizations, Git tools, and GitReleaseManager. If we do a git checkout of the develop branch, git fetch upstream, git rebase upstream develop. I'm going to run the build.sh over here and see what it does. Dun dun dun. I think the whole talk about it costs more bytes than the possibly, Maurice. I'll trigger the integration builds to test it on the difference. Ooh, that would be good. If you could do that, Kim, that'd be great. Appreciate it. Like I say, I'm running it now on my Mac for the GitReleaseManager build, so that'll tell us something. And yeah, where do we get to then? So if we have a look at the 2.0 milestone, we've added a couple of things in here. So 10 issues. And I think we can close this one off because it's at least partially there. So once the integration tests are run, well, the integration tests don't really prove anything. Or do they? Do the integration tests use full fat framework, or do they use .NET Global Tool as well? Kim. So these two features here would, they do both even better. Okay, so that may help us close this one out. And the two big ones really are this one, which I added, which is the ability to specify which CI platform you want to use for publishing. I want to get that in. And the other one that you want in is the overriding of the framework path. So if you could get that one in, Kim, that would be great. So you've kicked them off. Oh, even better. So let's bring this up so that folks can see it. So there's a builds happening here on AppBear, and then there are builds happening over here on Travis. Let's paste this in. Good stuff. Look at that. And then on, look at that. Beautiful. Okay. Good. Okay, so they're running, so we can check those. And a couple of these are smaller ones that can get pulled in, and then it's documentation. So that may not stop the release going out, but that's a different discussion. But okay, so I think that's kind of all I had for tonight. I wanted to finish kind of roughly on time. So any last minute questions from anyone, concerns, thoughts? Otherwise, I think I'm good to go. I'm going to keep an eye on this while I'm just kind of wrapping up the closing down of the stream, but I'll keep an eye on these and see if they succeed, which would be great if they did. But I think that's all I've got. By the way, Travis also tests the cake version specified in Cake.Recipe. Okay. And the latest. So right now, that'll be the same thing then, because I'm using 38.4 and the latest version of Cake is 38.4. But that's pretty cool. I like that. What are you going to talk about next week? That's a good question. So there is something that I've been working on in the background, but it kind of fell flat on its arse when I tested it the other day. I might start talking about that. That's related to chocolate.org. And it would be great. Maybes. That would be a kind of a step change away from the Cake.Recipe, Cake.Issues stuff. There's a change that I really want to get into chocolate.org, and I've not had the cycles to do that yet. My build on my Mac just failed. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's saying it failed to install tool git version.tool. Failed to create shell shim for tool git version.tool. Command .NET git version conflicts with an I bet I've got it installed globally. How do I? Let's just pull it over. There's nothing to hide here. Just pull it over. .NET tool list global. Maybes. Yeah. .NET tool uninstall git version tool global. That was a little bit too easy. Let's take out GitReleaseManager is here as well. Manager.tool. I probably don't want that one either. .NET report generator tool. Did I spell that wrong? Oh, I see. Dash global tool. Let's take all these tools out. Coveralls.net. Let's remove that too. Octopus, that was there for testing. I don't actually use that. Let's take that out too. Octopus.net CLI. We use just Cake and PowerShell. That's out of date, but that's a different. That was a squirrel, indeed. There's a big squirrel running across my screen. Interesting. I mean, I'm making a huge assumption here that that was the issue. Because it was fairly... Don't know. Let's see if it works this time. If it doesn't, I'm done. Let's see what happens. Could well be. Yeah, could well be. Let's see what happens here. And then are these... Ooh, we've got at least one green. Ship it. Ship it. So that's the same error, or same warning, sorry, that we were seeing on Windows. Those are still obsolete because I haven't pulled in the latest version into GitReleaseManager, so we haven't got the obsoleted fixes in. It's still there. Could not find any relevant files for tool. .NET Git version. Don't know. I'm going to put that down to something on my machine. I'll look into that later. Anyway, so Maurice, maybe next week I'll have something interesting to have a play with. But I'm not going to say too much more on that until I maybe have at least another little dig around at what I've been working with. But it could be an interesting topic for the stream. So I'll keep you posted, is what I'm saying. Right, that's me. I will talk to you all online and hopefully next week on the stream as well. Thank you very much for attending as normal. Bye-bye.